You may not park. A. On a hill. B. In a parking lot. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. D. Within 12 inches of the right side of the road. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. There are a number of locations where it is unlawful to park, including on a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. When parking on the street, you must be within 12 inches of the side of the road. When two vehicles arrive to an intersection at the same time, which one has the right of way when no signs or signals indicate rules? A. The car approaching from the right has the right of way. B. The car approaching from the left has the right of way. C. The car in which the driver sounds his horn first has the right of way. D. The car that is traveling the fastest has the right of way. A. The car approaching from the right has the right of way. At an intersection of two similar roads without a traffic control device, a driver must yield to a vehicle approaching from the right. This road sign means A. Roundabout ahead. B. No passing zone. C. Left turn yield on green. D. Traffic signal ahead. D. Traffic signal ahead. This sign means that a traffic signal is ahead. You should slow down and be prepared to stop. When approaching a flashing red traffic light, drivers should A. Drive through the intersection if there is no crossing traffic. B. Continue driving, as they have the right of way. C. Stop if a police officer is nearby. D. Treat the light like a stop sign. D. Treat the light like a stop sign. Flashing red lights are used at dangerous intersections. Treat them like stop signs.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
The consumption of alcohol while taking drugs can A. Decrease the effects of the drugs and alcohol. B. Increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. C. Help cure your illness. D. Improve your driving ability. B. Increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. The combination of alcohol and drugs, in some cases, can increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. It can be unsafe to drive after consuming either alcohol or drugs and is even more dangerous after combining them. When passing other vehicles. A. Check your mirrors and blind spots. B. Honk your horn at least 3 times. C. Re-enter your lane within 10 feet of the passed vehicle. D. There is no need to signal. A. Check your mirrors and blind spots. Before passing another vehicle, check your mirrors and blind spots. Before changing lanes, activate the appropriate turn signal. Re-enter the lane when you can see the front of the passed vehicle in your rearview mirror. When driving under normal conditions at speeds of 30 miles per hour or slower, keep a safe following distance by staying at least. Fill in the blank. Behind the vehicle in front of you. A. 1 second. B. 5 seconds. C. 6 seconds. D. 2 seconds. D. 2 seconds. To maintain a safe following distance, allow a gap of 2 to 4 seconds between you and the vehicle in front of you when driving at speeds of 30 miles per hour or below. Maintain a following distance of at least 4 seconds when driving under normal conditions at faster speeds. A no stopping sign means that, unless directed to do so by a police officer, you may stop only. A. Long enough to unload packages. B. To avoid conflict with other traffic. C. To discharge passengers. D. For less than 5 minutes. B. To avoid conflict with other traffic. A no stopping sign means you can only stop to obey a traffic signal, to obey a police officer, or to prevent a conflict with another vehicle. You experience an incident at work that has left you feeling angry. When you get to your car, you should A. Play the radio loudly so you won't think about it. B. Drive fast on the interstate to let off steam. C. Take a few minutes to cool off before you begin your drive home. D. Stop at your favorite bar and have a few drinks before driving home. C. Take a few minutes to cool off before you begin your drive home. Persons who are upset, angry, or otherwise distracted by their emotions should take time to cool off before driving a car. Taking out frustrations or anger while driving is exercising very poor judgment and is very dangerous to both the driver and others on the road. You may drive around or under a gate that is being lowered or raised at a railroad crossing. A. As long as an approaching train is not too close. B. If your vehicle can do so without damaging the gate. C. If you first look carefully in both directions. D. Under no circumstances. Which statement about speed is true? A. Driving too slowly on certain highways can be dangerous. B. Speeding can kill. C. Speeding is not dangerous if you are a skilled driver. D. Both driving too slowly on certain highways can be dangerous and speeding can kill. This sign means A. No right turn. B. You must turn right. C. Watch for traffic on your right. D. Don't park on the right side of the street. A. No right turn. A sign with a red circle and slash over a symbol indicates that the action represented by the symbol, in this example, a right turn, is not allowed. You are driving at night and a car is coming toward you. To help avoid blinding the other driver with your headlights, dim your lights when the other car is within A. 500 feet. B. 400 feet. C. 450 feet. D. 350 feet. A. 500 feet. Change to your low beam headlights when driving at night and an oncoming vehicle is within 500 feet of your vehicle. You are stopped in a line of vehicles waiting at a stop sign. If there is no cross traffic after the vehicles ahead have passed through the intersection, you A. May proceed through the intersection without stopping again. B. Must stop again at the stop sign or stop line before proceeding. C. May slowly roll past the stop sign. D. May follow the vehicle directly ahead of you without stopping. B. Must stop again at the stop sign or stop line before proceeding. You must always bring your vehicle to a complete stop and yield to approaching traffic before proceeding past a stop sign. Don't feel pressured by surrounding traffic to avoid making a complete stop. A yellow and black diamond-shaped sign. A. Warns you about conditions on or near the road. B. Helps direct you to cities and towns ahead. C. Tells you about traffic laws and regulations. D. Tells you about road construction ahead. A. Warns you about conditions on or near the road. Warning signs, which tell you about conditions on or near the road ahead, are usually diamond-shaped with black symbols or words on a yellow background. A steady green light at an intersection means that you a. must slow down and prepare to stop. B. must stop and check for oncoming traffic before proceeding. C. may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. D. may not turn right. C. may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. A steady green light means you may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. You may also turn right or left on a steady green light unless a sign prohibits the turn. When turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. You must stop for a pedestrian. A. only if the pedestrian is on your side of the road. B. only if the pedestrian is in a clearly marked crosswalk. C. if the pedestrian is in a marked or unmarked crosswalk. D. only if a walked signal for pedestrians is present. C. if the pedestrian is in a marked or unmarked crosswalk. You must stop for pedestrians crossing the road at any marked or unmarked crosswalk. Yield the right of way and proceed when the crosswalk is clear. If an oncoming driver is heading toward you in your lane, you should A. blow your horn, steer right, and accelerate. B. blow your horn, steer left, and brake. C. blow your horn, steer right, and brake. D. stay in the center of your lane, blow your horn, and brake. C. blow your horn, steer right, and brake. If another vehicle is approaching you head-on in your lane, you should first honk your horn to attract attention. If the other driver does not move over, try to escape to the right. If you swerve left and the other driver corrects at the last instant, you will still crash. If a collision is unavoidable, brake firmly and steadily. Every mile per hour you slow down will reduce the impact. This sign means A. slippery when wet. B. watch for drunk drivers. C. dangerous curve ahead. D. bump in the road ahead. A. slippery when wet. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black markings on a yellow background. They alert drivers to upcoming hazards. This sign warns drivers to be extra careful when the pavement is wet because the road may become slippery, making vehicles more difficult to control. Certain highway signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Such signs are known as A. regulatory signs. B. warning signs. C. information signs. D. guide signs. A. regulatory signs. Regulatory signs require drivers to obey an indicated instruction. Failure to comply is subject to penalty. This sign means A. no U-turn. B. no left turn. C. no right turn. D. no turning. C. no right turn. This sign indicates that right turns are prohibited. Do not make a right turn at an intersection where this sign is posted. If there are two railroad tracks next to each other, A. it is always safe to proceed after one train passes. B. you must always stop before crossing the tracks. C. when one train passes, look for another train on the other track before proceeding. D. honk your horn as you cross the tracks. C. when one train passes, look for another train on the other track before proceeding. If there are two railroad tracks next to each other, watch for a second approaching train after one train passes. Do not begin to cross the tracks until you're sure no train is approaching from either direction on either track. A driver can legally pass on the right side of another vehicle? A. If the vehicle is waiting to turn left and there is an available passing lane. B. Even if it means driving off the pavement. C. On a narrow bridge. D. At any time. A. If the vehicle is waiting to turn left and there is an available passing lane. If there is an available passing lane, you may pass on the right of a vehicle or bicycle that is turning left or waiting to turn left. It is also legal to pass on the right when driving on a multi-lane road with two or more lanes traveling in the same direction. You may never drive off the pavement or main traveled portion of the road to pass another vehicle. You notice that the driver in the vehicle ahead of you is driving with one hand and talking to a passenger. You should A. Give the vehicle extra space. B. Know that the driver in the vehicle ahead is reducing their safety margin by being an inattentive driver. C. Avoid following the driver's example. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Do not become distracted by looking at passengers, attempting to find something in your vehicle, looking at reading material, sightseeing, or daydreaming while driving. If a driver near you seems distracted, allow them extra space because the risk of an accident is increased by their inattentiveness. When entering a street from a driveway, you A. Must drive slowly to allow approaching vehicles and pedestrians time to get out of your way. B. Must honk your horn so approaching vehicles and pedestrians know to give you room. C. Must stop and proceed only when there are no pedestrians or vehicles approaching. D. Can disregard any pedestrians if there is no sidewalk. C. Must stop and proceed only when there are no pedestrians or vehicles approaching. Always stop before entering the roadway from a driveway and yield to any approaching vehicles or crossing pedestrians. The stop should be made before crossing the sidewalk area. Failure to stop is unlawful. You are driving at night and another vehicle is approaching from the opposite direction. Your headlights? A. Should be on their high beam setting. B. Should be on their low beam setting. C. Should be off. Use your parking lights. D. May be on either their high or low beam setting. B. Should be on their low beam setting. Do not use your high beam headlights when approaching or following another vehicle at night. Switch to the low beam setting to ensure the safety of everyone on the road. Which penalties may you face if you provide false information on a DMV application? A. A jail sentence. B. A fine. C. A 1-year suspension of your driving privileges. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Giving false information when applying for a driver license or identification card is punishable by a 1-year suspension or cancellation. In addition, submitting a false application is a Class A misdemeanor, which is punishable by fines and/or imprisonment. When in a travel lane on the roadway. A. You may stop to drop off passengers. B. You may stop to look up an address. C. You may make a U-turn or back up if you get on the wrong entrance ramp of the freeway. D. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. D. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. You should not stop in a travel lane for any reason. Instead, keep moving until you can safely pull off of the road. If you miss your turn or exit, do not back up. Go to the next turn or exit or where you can safely turn around. What does an orange-colored sign indicate? A. The start of a no-passing zone. B. A railroad crossing is ahead. C. A school zone is ahead. D. The presence of construction work. D. The presence of construction work. Construction, maintenance, and emergency operations signs are generally orange with black symbols. This sign means A. No left turn. B. Flagger ahead. C. Two-way left turn. D. Turn right or go through. A. No left turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign means that left turns are prohibited. When you hear a fire engine siren behind you, you must A. Slow down until it passes you. B. Drive with your flashers on. C. Pull over to the side of the road and stop. D. Speed up and take the nearest exit. C. Pull over to the side of the road and stop. When you hear the siren of an emergency vehicle, you must pull over to the curb or side of the road and stop. This road sign means A. Do not enter. B. No parking. C. No U-turn. D. No left turn. C. No U-turn. These signs indicate that U-turns are prohibited in the location where it is posted. If you need to slow down while driving on a slippery road, the first thing you should do is A. Firmly apply your brakes. B. Take your foot off the gas pedal. C. Apply your parking brake. D. Pump your brakes. B. Take your foot off the gas pedal. To slow down on a slippery road, you should first take your foot off the gas pedal. If you need to slow down even more, gently apply a slow, steady pressure to your brake pedal. This sign means A. T intersection. B. Lane shifting. C. Side road. D. Do not block intersection. A. T intersection. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a T intersection and should prepare to turn either right or left. When changing lanes, you can check your blind spots by A. Using the inside rearview mirror. B. Using the outside rearview mirror. C. Using both inside and outside rearview mirrors. D. Turning your head and looking over your shoulder. D. Turning your head and looking over your shoulder. You should turn your head to check your blind spots before every lane change.